Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the UECE Ranking League's A semi-final. So, it's our second time here on COD Mobile, Connie. I'm excited to be here and to follow these teams. You can talk us through a little bit about what we're coming to expect in this matchup. Queens 3-1 for Severity. So, interesting matchup we've got here, Connie.
Absolutely, and we already know from beforehand yesterday's finals with Colin and Brody watching over, exclusive have been the first team into the grand finals, and they finished second in SPS Season 4 and have been a consistent top 2 seed in the European region for the last couple of years. There's been no denying that whoever wins today is going to have a massive task in the grand final, and interesting to note in terms of the actual matchup for today of Queens and Severity, Severity are running a stand-in today, which is not the ideal situation for a semi-final. They've lost 6fly, he's out. And yeah, this is where Queens now have a chance to resurrect what could have been an impressive group stage win. They lost 3-1, and this time around is their chance for redemption. But just to introduce the players, for Severity's side, we have Chuzo, Moby, Amari, Secret, and Cuban. So this is already, again, a roster that is running at least one stand-in, or a substitute player, we should say. So yeah, they're not in the most optimal settings for today's match. Thank you very much. In my ear, to be fair, Severity actually are the one that are buffed. Queens are the ones that don't substitute. So this is the full Severity lineup. And yeah, they stand a good chance of winning today. Queens, however, they've got Inferno as a stand-in today. That's completely fair. Okay, thank you very much to the
I was hearing some talk about Severity in scrims were performing pretty well against Queens, winning I think pretty comfortably as well, 3-1. I don't know if that was with their stand-in or without. If it was with their full roster, then that's going to be looking pretty likely for them to go pretty well here, even if it's their away game coming against Queens, because Queens do have the home advantage. They're picking the maps, they're picking the modes. Well, not the modes, but the maps and how they're going to play them and the sides and all that. Yeah. So they're going to be looking comfortable. They're going to be looking good. It's not an easy roster to go against if you're Severity, but I think you've got a little bit of momentum, a little bit of saving grace going into this, where you've been performing pretty well on scrims. You know that they have a stand-in. They're not at full form here. And for a semifinals match, it's going to be looking pretty consistent for them to at least put up a performance here. Would not be surprised if we at least see a map 5 or even potential win here from Severity going into this matchup. They're looking good. They're looking solid. Queens, unfortunately, using that stand-in doesn't mean that they can't perform at their best. Just means that it's going to be a little bit different, and they're going to have to adapt pretty quickly, Connie.
They are, and there's also the looming threat of qualification, which has haunted Severity so far throughout the group stages and into the playoffs again. They've also got to make sure that they convert a solid result here today. I think the lineal scoreline is they have to win 3-0 against Queens. So this is what the stand-ins have to perform well in against Queens. If they win a map today, their intact record from the events leading up to now is going to do them a very huge bonus tonight. And to walk you through the maps for today's action, we've got Hacienda Hardpoint, Fire and Range on Search and Destroy with a Seaside Control floated in there. I know Brody right now has got a big frown on his face. There's no denying just why that should be there. Apocalypse Hardpoint and Tunisia S&D to round out the series.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that, just on a side note, that Apocalypse has stood the test of time here and made it into another game other than Cold War. I really thought it was such a random map. It was, and Seaside as well, yeah. Fire and Range. But Fire and Range is like a cult classic, right? Like, you can understand how that makes it into a game. Competitive or not is a different question, but Apocalypse was just added in the end of Cold War and played in comp for like a 5th map. Yeah, it's crazy that it survived this long. It was such a random map. It wasn't even that popular from my understanding. I think comp players liked it. I remember back in the day, Pocket was like pretty fun. But like as a map that's going to stand the test of time in COD Mobile with the greats, I don't know. It's just crazy to me. Just a really random note there. But seeing it on the map rotations is very, very interesting to me. But it's a pretty good map. I think it plays pretty decently, I guess, in terms of a competitive setting. Whether that's translated as well into a 5v5 specialist chaos COD mobile setting is another question. I think, Hassie's pretty good with that conversion because it was made for the 5v5 game mode with specialists. So, it's no surprise that the maps that were in the specialist and especially Black Ops 4 Peak, which is I guess why they favored Seaside, is as effective in COD mobile. But As we've seen before in Call of Duty, sometimes it's okay to make these maps work. Sometimes it doesn't translate as well. So, yeah, interesting stuff. But the map pool, nothing really too crazy. I mean, we talked about Seaside a little bit. Firing range is always an interesting one, but again, search and destroy, it's at least interesting. I mean, as a viewer standpoint, I find it very interesting to watch a bit of firing range. It's pretty standard. It's pretty, nothing special about it. I guess that's why people like it, right? It's kind of like the Nuketown of pubs where you just kind of, you know, you're used to it. You know what to expect. There's nothing crazy going on. It's just gunfights and that's it. So for a search and destroy game mode, not too surprising to me that it's kind of stood in here and is able to be played in comp.
That's what makes it a bit more interesting as well to note that Apocalypse is in there as our 4th map. I mean, we talked already beforehand about the surprise of seeing it in there in general from its introduction in Cold War. It was floated in Season 1 as a DLC map. It was popped in the pool to replace a map in Cold War that wasn't up to scratch. I think you know what you're talking about here, Crossroads. Yeah. And again, it worked. It's a map that's designed for pubs. Originally, it's just way too vertical, way too slopey. But in Comp 44, it was fantastic. It was quick, it was pacey, and like you mentioned, towards the specialists and an extra player on the map for both sides. It's going to be a gunfight every single route. But we now go back to basics. Hacienda, returning in Black Ops 6, a Black Ops 4 classic, a COD mobile staple. And already, Queens are leading the match with 20-9 gap, but the P1 already is looking towards Severity on getting the scrap time and shading the next hill.
Okay, I'm just getting words. Severity on the left, Queens on the right. I'm going to say this for everyone in chat as well as mainly myself.
Split, there we go.
So I don't get confused. Also, on the side of Queens, the Chinese characters, I believe, is Turgi, and for him is Brian. So let's just get that out off the rip so we can focus on this cast. But already, Severity off to a pretty cracking lead here. 40 points, nothing crazy, but coming onto this hard point, they're going to be looking pretty solid. War Machine already being invested and having massive value from the side of Chuso, and they are just swarming everyone as they get those back spawns, Connie, and they try and rush into this point.
And they made a really impressive start so far. What Queens have, though, is the spawns in this situation. It's just a very punishing setup here we see on Hill. They've smoked off front garage. They're going to focus all of their pressure now through the exit on the side to lobby. And this is a big problem now, I'd say, for Queens, because what Severity have right now in this instance is a wonderful understanding of the spawns, manipulating it away from parking garage and more towards the center of the map. But this is where we start to see at least Queens find an entrance through the front. Severity have lost the back spawns. They've got a free route, though, towards the north side of the map and on to the next hill. A 1v1 for brand new initial, at least contested between Queens and Severity.
Yeah, cool. Togi getting a nice couple kills towards the back of that hill. Now new online. We've got Moby, the first to strike, tip of the spear here with the help of Secret. Chuso going to drop off screen. Coming in as well. Some shots down range. Nothing really dropping for them. War Machine invested by for him, but he's immediately shut down off of that. Rob as well, grabbing the 2-piece. He says he might be him, and I think he might be correct. A great break from the side of Queens.
Oh, fantastic. They're bombing utility right onto the site. 4 nade icons floating over, and Queens are just shaking this off in a spectacular fashion. Severity of the break, and Cuban's excellence has won a wonderful window now. Not just 3 quick kills on the hill, but now we can see contested time in the middle section of this hill. So this is where you open up the map a little bit further and start to send players on deep flanks.
Yeah, don't know if that was intentional, but that Hunter Killer Drone giving a lot of smoke on the map. Never mind, it was just a smoke grenade. I was about to say, that was crazy that he couldn't be seen. And unfortunately not netting much kills. For him, comes back on in, gets a nice 2-piece. They're still trying to fight it. Contention in, still doubled the lead. Severity really dictating this match right now against Queens and making it very difficult for them to grab themselves back in on these points. Just complete lockdown of all these rotations, all these breaks, all these holds, and Queens just falling behind the 8 ball. Don't know if it's because of the stand-in or not, but we do know that Severity are more than good enough to hang with Queens.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got their full roster. They've really sharpened their performances since the group stage. Yeah, it's just what you like to call a nice introduction into playoffs. Teams can change form drastically, and these guys have been working very hard to resurrect their wrongs from the prior stage.
Coming back on in, Chuso trying to get something done. 3 kills go the way of Queens. You still got Cuban around the outside, but gets shut down immediately. Now they have to go for the re-break. Queens on in, trying to soak up as much time as they can. 20 seconds to grab on this hill, and making this very, very difficult for Severity to grab much time, but they come on in with a very clean break, Connie. 3 kills go their way. Rob finds 2, maybe even a 3rd as well, to at least keep Queens alive.
Oh, maybe on the exit, it's in consolation. Severity will have scrap time confirmed, have the first player on to new, but Queens have got the overload action on towards site. They're going to position players on the extremities outside of hill, the upper walkways to try and lock off any sort of entrance that could be formed from Severity, but their spawns are now on the north side of the map, Remy, which means they've got free entry onto the point, and they've got optimal nade lineups as well. So this could be a very contested hill.
Coming in, Zuko looking to try and pick up maybe some of these players, trying to hold spawns, trying to block. Unfortunate timing for him. He will drop, and a lot of kills going yellow in the feed. P1 online going towards Queens now. Bit of a different story on the second set of hard points, but still early days on P1. Some good shots from Zuko there as well, being that nice little overwatch. But unfortunately, Chuso is the AR that you need to deal with, and he's already done so much damage and allows Severity to get it.
Oh, fantastic. That's a beautiful blue feed for Severity. They get scrap time this time around. And Queens haven't really been answering many calls since the first set of rotations. Severity have completely controlled the spawns, manipulated every single player to change from the primary strategy onto an alternate, which is changing the timings and the cutoffs for every kill to be a clean one from Severity. And now on initial, look who's got spawns. It's Queens. They're right back in the front lobby. And this could be very punishing if Severity can try and evade the smoke grenade.
For him doing so much to grab 2 on the entry there, you've got only 1 player in the hill trying to do his best. Fortunately, not going to quite happen. Inferno with that Tempest, looking to try and get some damage in. Not quite. Severity so good on these breaks. The invested War Machine, sorry, for him, trying to get as much damage as possible. The spawns do flip. He is smart to get quick on that flank. The arrows turn, and he's still frying out, Connie, making so much damage in this backline, shutting everything down and making sure Queens can at least lock in some time. There's still a lot of work to be done. Not quite getting themselves back in the game just yet. Still essentially a whole hill behind. 20 seconds to grab here on this point. They need to worry about new rotations, though. So far, Severity been dictating that all game. We'll see if they can get through off this break.
Now, this is interesting. Severity's adjustment was, instead of focusing 3 players on the predicted spawns for Queens, funnel it now onto the hill and send 2 players on a rotation to new. Meanwhile, Amari's playing a corner in an off angle, which is set to trap any players from Queens from crossing in. But the back spawn's been lost. Rob's done a wonderful play, and he's managed to get another one on his body. So this is a nice retake here from Severity. They get the first 10 seconds uncontested. They're throwing stuns over the shed to make sure they get information.
Going back on in. Queens finally on a rotation. They are behind the 8 ball here. 4 plays to deal with from Severity. 1 does drop down. It will be Cuban now contesting the point. 40 seconds alive here. A lot of time to grab Zuko with the Annihilator. Looking to try and get some damage down. Range finds 2. Looking for maybe 1 more. Unfortunately, the smoke fades and Moby able to get that kill. But it is for him in the back. He's got help from Inferno. Now the pinch starting to come through. Unfortunately, too many kills to grab. Even the gloves coming out to play. Left, right, good night for Secret. And that will be a hill locked down for Severity yet again. 80-point margin here. Possibly a 100-point differential going into this as Chuso invests that War Machine.
Oh, their operation's fantastic, Severity. Their systems are really well organized too. That's why Queens haven't really had much of a chance to overtake or even close a deficit. They've just been shut down from spawn every single time, and it's good to see that they have a Route 1 formality about them. And Severity get more kills added towards the feed. They're floating players into mid as well for the cutoffs. They're relying on Moby here to make sure that the information is gathered. He can run away and keep his life. And this is only their last chance to contest Queens on its open rock hill.
The Vortex gun out as well. Just so much damage coming in from the side of Severity. They are locking down all of this time so far. Fortunately does drop though. For him on that War Machine has been deadly for the side of Queens. It just hasn't had enough value for them to get the break. The gunpowder just too strong for the side of Severity. Secret now coming in with a 3-piece. You've got a Predator missile invested as well from the side of Omari. And it looks like Severity are just locking down this point almost to completion. They do win off this barely, I believe. The equalizers as well now out from Omari. And just no one getting close. The contestant will keep them alive momentarily. But, I mean, Connie, if we're being honest, this game is as good as done off of this point. No real value here from Queens. Again, just dropping a full hard point to the side of Severity, and they cannot do a thing to stop them.
No chance as well. Lucas got a bit of control. Severity got 3 players in there. One last potential push from Queens when it comes online. They've got 2 angles to hit though, Remy.
They do, but P1, it's been notoriously Severity. Finally, some kills come back. Yellow kill feed. They do break on in. This was Chuso's point. We saw it last time. We've seen on the first 2 points. A Predator Missile will be invested. Might cut down one player, and it does off the rotation. Omari and Cuban able to get the kills on in. People leave the game, and that'll be map 1 locked under way. Wow, what a map 1 there from Severity. I mean, we talked about them being maybe in form, maybe having a slight edge here against Queens, but 150 points, Connie, not something I was expecting at all for map 1.
No, they've really done an impressive job, and they facilitated the demands of what the IGL wants in such a fantastic way. There was a lot of fluidity from the breaks, and on rotation, they really impressed, particularly if you're looking at players. I think Omari goes unsung quite a bit here. An impressive scoreline, but he was playing the cutoffs. Chuso got 42 kills to 18 deaths. That's a lovely 2.5 KD to Shaft and add a feather to the cap. But really, if you look at the impact scores and the average of what was impressive, 3 players, Moby, Omari, and Chuso, only a 4-point gap between the 3, and still at 191, which in comparison to Queens, you gotta say, it really is night and day.
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me from Severity was that every single player was doing their part there in that hard point. I mean, you saw Severity getting so many players in on these points, grabbing 2, 3 pieces. I mean, Chuso's a highlight there on that P1. I believe he just got like 5 or 6 straight very easily, cutting down all the players. And I think we're on board with Zuko, but you could just see off screen, he was doing well, just playing his AR positions. Unfortunately, Chuso just doing even better, cutting down everyone, winning every gunfight, and making that super, super easy. And that's really the tell of a good AR, right? Is not the fact they're doing these crazy, flashy plays or these crazy, shots and stuff. It's being consistent, right? You want to facilitate your subs or whoever is playing those close range engagements, whether it's shotguns or whatever in COD Mobile, but you need to make that easy for them. And that is the tell of a good AR, and that's what Chuso was doing that whole map, dictating that on the AR, making it very, very easy for the rest of his team, and it showed in the stats, and it showed in the game points and the lead that they had. Coming into a search and destroy, though, will be a bit different. Firing range here, map number 2, scopes out to play. Inferno donning that. He is the stand-in here for the side of Queens, and might make this a little bit different here on Severity if we see it out to play. And already a first blood coming in from Turgi.
And it's a really smart opening smoke from Severity just to cut off the cross, so there's no real pressure straight away. I'm seeing Secret as well has got the aggressive position here, playing a wall inside of Office. And so far, again, it's a relatively passive round. No real engagements to be had, and we expect it given Severity's opening play. They want to try and make the contest in the middle of the map and watch a barrel, or at least someone making a crucial mistake. That's where Queens capitalize. They not just get a first blood, but a second to add as well. It's a 5v3.
5v1 now. Zuko getting a nice 2-piece off screen as well. Turgi on the first blood early, but Moby strikes back with a nice 2. Would be 1v5, so would have to be something insane, and this would be the dagger in the back of Queen. Some good shots. Downrange as well. Doesn't quite get the kill. One up top. Rob shuts him down for an early for an early round 1 win on the map. But, I mean, I gotta say, good stuff out of the sides of Queens. They played very well. Wasn't one play there. Everyone had to get their pick. Everyone had to play their part, working off each other, trading. Beautiful stuff. COD fundamentals, especially here on Surge. That's what we want to see. Now they're trying to attack this A immediately. Look at the nades on the map. I mean, I've never seen so many PNGs fly across the map in my life. So many nades. They get on in, and this should be a free plant on A.
But look at the way in which Queens are attacking this. They're not shy to even lose a player. They commit 2 towards Office, 2 more covering the exit, and this is a massive mistake. And Severity, on a post-plant attempt, spent all their utility in the early round. Tried to re-clear again in mid, but that wasn't where the players were from Queens. No, they stuck themselves right into the safety pockets. No information can be gathered. 4 barrels to 1 in every instance from that round. Now we go towards number 3, and Queens on the defensive side. Float 2 nades over the top. Send the player towards the north side. 2 players this time around, just to try and read the pressure. But Cuban can just play a situation that opens up the first blood nicely. A beautiful close.
With the LMG in hand as well, just doing so much firepower. I mean, that's one of the hard things that gets, I guess, banned in normal comp, but there's a strategy we might see employed here. You'll have high pen through these walls. You'll also have a lot of ammo in that mag and some very high damage. To lock down these line of sights is basically an AR on crack. So coming in here, we've already got Chuso grabbing some picks to even things up. It's a 2 down on either side. 3 versus 3 as they try and hit this side, but Zuko here waiting patiently, looking to try and take down Cubana. It will be a free pick. The sub coming out to play for Zuko now a 2 versus 3.
And Chuso as well, already smelling blood in the water, but doesn't realize the trap that Queens have set here. Almost like sharks circling their prey. They float a beautiful shot into his head. But on the exit, Moby finds one. The second and comes alive. Queens pushed way too early there on the final exit. Moby, with bomb in hand, can flick this over towards B freely. Has to reclear mid again because there's always a chance that Queens can make another mistake and send Zuko right through the open mid.
I mean, you're just playing patient here, making sure Zuko is questioning where this player might be. He's watching B and A in the middle of the map. I mean, you've got to assume if you're the side of Moby that he's probably playing some sort of angle there where he can get vision on at least the crosses to both bomb sites. And that's always going to be towards the middle of the map. So it's a good play from Moby to try and dwindle down this time. Unfortunately, though, he has to make a plan, and Zuko has made the right read. So this should be a free kill and the round done and dusted for Queens.
Oh, a very tense 1v1. Maybe waited a little bit too long in my eyes. Definitely could have floated over to B for a post plant. Knew that the third player was just behind the second player he killed. So the rotation could be won. But at the same time, he was predicting that in a 1v1, an aggressive mistake would have costed Severity. Now, look at the opening nade. It's beautiful from Queens. Immediate 4v5.
For him on that opening pick, Omari going to drop. You can see him trying to get some shots as well through here with the Odin. I mean, it's one of those things where we've consistently seen Severity losing these opening duels, and we see it again here as well for him getting 2 for this round. They're just not finding much traction here on the Search and Destroy. Maybe we have a Search and Destroy being a weaker game over the side of Severity. Hardpoint seems to be their strong suit. Maybe controls a bit more up their alley. Cuban at least evens things up with that MG. But we can see all the players dropping off screen. 4v2, we're left with Chuso and Moby now trying to even things up and at least make this round a possibility.
And again, it's just lots of tension in another 1vx situation. That Severity, I really think, are starting to question what the strategy was from the start and how could it have been so dire, if you will. Queens have been circling the map so comfortably on the defensive portion. Misses the shot, gets a lovely, a beautiful exit kill. Oof. Oh, Chuso. Well, the skin of his teeth, he just about gets away in a 3v2. Queens have got barrels on all the exits, and Severity have to play close to buildings.
It's nice to know COD timing doesn't escape in COD Mobile. Unfortunate for them. Chuso had no idea that plays up close. Rob able to get the 2-piece, shut down the round immediately. I mean, that's just one of those things where you can see Inferno. He's like, I'm holding it. No one's here. I'm going to push up, try and make a pinch. A little bit of impatience, I guess, if you will. Like, there was no need for him to do it. I understand it. I mean, look, I'm a bit ADHD as well. You know, sometimes I want to get moving on the map, get the fingers warmed up.
Oh my God, Remy, 5 nades over towards A from the break-off. This is much different than Severity we saw the 4 rounds prior. And look what it's opened up with, a beautiful first blood.
Trying to contest it.
And yeah, it's not going to work. The smoke, though, is a big safety shield.
That's massive from the side of Severity to at least try and get themselves in this opening on A. We've seen a few times that they've tried to get the nades in on A. Unfortunately, though, Inferno needs to be dealt with. A nice shot from him, for him in the back as well, able to find a nice pick. Now 1 versus 3, made a 1 versus 2 for Moby. Always the last play alive here for Severity, trying his best to make it a reality, able to find a second as well. 1v3 turn 1v1. Can he get the kills? Moby trying to get down range, does get spotted for him. He knows exactly where he is. The bomb is down, so this is a post plan. He's now trying to walk up, and Moby with the SMG up close doesn't win the gunfight, and unfortunately it will not be the first round for them. We're seeing a flawless round and also map from Queens here yet again, just doing so well, Connie, on all of these rounds to stop anything that Severity's getting going and to really come back as well. And you can just see every single round Queens has the advantage. Moby doing a great job of dwindling down these numbers. We're seeing a lot of 1v1s, 1v2s, 1v3s, but it's just never going the way for Severity. They just don't ever have the advantage, and it's costing them so dearly right now. And a nade off the top as well to take down Moby on the first blood. Beautiful utility usage from the side of Queens.
They are smashing the north side of the map here,
Wow,
Severity. This is impressive. Complete B take. One last player to deal with, though, and this is way too close to comfort. And not the idle weaponry as well. The L1 against 4.
What is happening?
Make it 2. Oh, this timing's insane. Zuko as well is on the other side of this wall. Has the angle for any crossing players. Queens have actually got quite a nice, you know, 2v2 setup going on here. Have to dodge a set stun, and they can pretty much play hide and seek with no idea that Severity can make the really important killing blow here.
I'm pretty sure for him just got world star at the start of that round. I was like trying to get a vision on the map, and I couldn't tell if it was Chuso he was shooting. But if so, he just got 360 no-scoped off the top rope. That was insane. Coming in as well, Cuban, unfortunately, nading himself mid-gunfight. Wasn't expecting that. So we've got a 2 versus 2. The sniper now up top. They're trying to lock down B, but unfortunately, this might be an A hit as well from the side of Severity, making this very, very awkward. And making this very, very difficult as well. Now they're in the post plan. We could see a round here from Severity. They're evened up. There's no clear advantage. The bomb down. We're in post plan. See how they respond here, Connie.
And already we had some wonderful heroics from Turgi to at least shove them away from B. But now in the post-plant A setup, this might actually favor Queens in a 2v2. They stop the sniper rifle online. The strategy could be quite dynamic here. Severity have to play 2 corners with ARs and subs and hope that Queens make an aggressive push. Because he's still got a stun in hand here, Turgi, but the time's ticking down and they're not really pouncing as much urgency as we need.
Or quickscope comes in. I believe he gets out with his life here as well. Not enough time. So Severity with the first round of their map, but still a lot of damage, still a lot of work to be done. And a very awkward round, a very crazy round at that. I mean, whew, what a round to win if you're Severity, but you need to have a bit more clean gunfights than that round really had. I mean, you had a good strat, you had a good game plan, but still very dicey, very awkward, not convincing enough for me to show that they have a real chance in this map.
And Queens this time around do not mess around over towards B, Remy. 2 stuns over the top. They've already sent Fahim on the deepest flank possible to the north side of the map, and it's an excellent cutoff. Severity this time around have lost the first blood. They've drawn back, equalizing the numbers. And yeah, this is where now you start to see the big, tense fight taking place.
Yeah, shots still trying to come down range from Turgi. Unfortunately, players dropping left and right. 3 versus 2. Chuso getting one back, but Inferno as well on the scope, able to make this a 1 versus 2. They know exactly where Chuso is. He's stuck in the middle tunnel here, making this very awkward. Does destroy the trophy system. Bomb yet to go down either as well. Chuso gets one more as well, so Rob drops. And now 1 versus 1, sniper versus sniper. We've seen this matchup go head-to-head before. Chuso coming out on top with this scope before. Will he be able to do it again? Inferno just behind the 8 ball in these scopes. And now 1 versus 1 in shoes.
And it's just very quiet now between Inferno and Chuso. Both respect each other heavily in this situation. Although Chuso's got less room to wiggle with. And as we see here from Inferno, loads of room to plant over towards B. Has got the longest angle to clear though. And Chuso didn't check it in time. Not his fault though. Now in the rewrap, he has to try and get towards bomb.
Wow, he has played this perfectly. Chuso, no idea he's behind. No sound cues. Just walking up behind on the flank. Chuso maybe checked it. Never mind. Turns around. Too late. Inferno shuts him down. 1 round away. Match point now for the side of Queens. 6-1. Looking very, very convincing here in the search and making this a 1-1 tied game potentially. Severity need to pull something out of the bag here if they're looking to stay in this. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing a Seaside Control here momentarily with a very even series score.
Queens, this time around, they're on that point, looking to equalize the series and cut off any chance of Severity getting that qualification. They need to win a map. And look at what's happened from Severity in this instance. Look at the opening
Massive
from Amari.
Damage.
All beautiful, all controlled. Inferno had no idea what happened.
Yeah, I mean, he's just absolutely gobsmacked right now, running in the middle of the map, trying to get Chuso. Not going to happen with that pistol. Severity hang on for 1 more round. And a beautiful round that is. Using that LMG to shut down all those players. No one can get through. Trying to make the entries. We saw some nades go towards B. Not quite happening. We'll see how the break-off goes here now. Queens, though, with a lot of room to work with. They can afford to have these risky rounds. These interesting strats try and develop. Going for that B hit early. And we can see someone going top tower as well. Inferno looking to try and get this damage in. Chuso with the first blood, though, for him going to drop.
Now, the same strategy again from Queens. They float towards the north side of the map. They send a few nades to clear. They want an open free site. Severity, again, are posted up towards A. They have the favorable side to reach it in time. Cuban, though, gets an important 2 kills on the exit. So now the overload's possible for Severity. Now it's about their grouping and how quickly they can reunite.
SKS in the hands of Inferno. Looking down range here to maybe find the kill into secret. Not going to happen. You can see these players as well working together. He does get up top. Wonder if they hear the sound cues. They don't quite. Maybe some timing here. Not quite going in his favor either, Connie. This is so tense. He's got the help of a player, but he's too far back. Will be Zuko playing a very passive angle here. We saw quite the opposite from Inferno. Now 1 versus 4, and Severity might be putting themselves back in this game. I don't want to say it too early. It's a lot of work to be done, but even with this sniper, even with this 1v4, Zuko's going to have a very, very, very tough time of trying to make any sort of opening here. We can see Chuso playing a very tight angle, not giving up anything. Does run into his gunfire, but Severity with another round under the belt, going 3-6 here, Connie.
And I feel like now we're starting to understand firing range a bit more. Remember last year when I was in Poland talking about this map and how it can be quite easy to win a post plant, but even easier to defend? Yeah. Now the halves are flipped around, Severity's starting to scare the lead at an alarming rate. And Queen's set strategy to go towards the north side isn't working, and they've changed it nicely for this round. They've sent 4 to the south side, a player at least to be the floater to go up to B and see the opening if it were possible. But it's a nice slowdown, which has retained their lives, and that's a big change from the last rounds we've seen from them. They've kept their lives, and they have now got more room to wiggle around the map.
I gotta say as well, Queens opting out for very aggressive strategies here. See, seen in the last couple of rounds, they try to hit these sites quickly. Has not gone their way, and we're seeing a much more passive setup from both sides. A lot more tactical, a lot more methodical from the side of not only Queens, but Severity. And they know this B side. They have 2 players, but it's so difficult to get in on Cuban's MG. We can see the trade go out in the middle of the map as well for Chuso and Zuko. And they trade 1 apiece, so 4v4 now, as we're in familiar territory. And it looks like A might be the site that they choose to hit. But look at the bomb. It's all the way in the back line, and they have to try and get all the way towards A here off the crosses. Yeah.
Oh, damage dealt. And Amari hasn't got the weaponry for this. The setup is very punishing from Queens. 1 up high, 1 to cover the bomb. And look at how this has been constructed, Remy. It's beautiful. A 2v3, the smoke has been used, but has been tagged through. Oh, my goodness me. Fahim has done a beautiful piece of work. A 2v1, maybe with an L1 in hand. And both players are stacked inside of office. Not the other weaponry for the setup at hand.
Severity preying on Moby to try and get this damage through. Very weak as they try and push. Double Chell comes in, and it will be for him shutting it down. And the hopes of Severity in this map. 7-3, and probably a long-awaited map win there for the side of Queens. I mean, they were playing so well. It was 6-1 lead. Severity at least showing us signs of life here in firing range. They do have the capability in Search and Destroy. I like their setup. I like they were trying to play to it, but again, I just think the adaptability wasn't quite there, right? They had the same stock setup every single round. They weren't adapting very well to how the rounds were playing out. Kind of costed them. We have a look at the scoreboard here as well. Nothing crazy going on from either side. Also, the kill department not looking crazy different either side as well for a 7-3 lead, Connie.
No, I think everyone from Queens actually got involved in the action at one point. And it makes a lot of sense in terms of the trades. They were winning every single 50-50. That was of importance to get them up to a 6-0 scoreline at one point, right? The difference was in at least a portion where we did see Severity get comfortable on the favorable side, execute beautiful opening first bloods, and then had the better setups in the end to actually retain a conversion. Whereas you felt like, in a way, Queens were a bit more risky. We saw, again, the same strategy running to the north side of the map on the defense, and they just kept getting bodied every single time. Wasn't until the last adjustment we saw there in the closing round where they decided not to commit heavily to a strat that isn't working, but instead optionally try and find a weakness from the mid, which is just so crucial because, you know, anyone's going to be in office at any time. It could be a free first blood. It's about setting numbers in there, creating the overload, winning the trade, and controlling the space.
And it's interesting as well, right? We've seen Queens, their dominance on Search and Destroy. We've seen Severity, their dominance on Hardpoint. This, in my mind, is really the factor here. Control. It's kind of a mix of both worlds, right? You've got elements of Search and Destroy and Hardpoint. Can we see potentially Severity or Queens taking this and dictating the series? If we see Queens going up here, I believe we see a map 5, we see Severity, we could be just going in a 3-1. This could really be the massive changing point in this series. We've got Seaside coming in momentarily, and I think this is really important to show who is going to be going forward here and really showing what their capabilities are, because Severity, super dominant on the hard point, looking very solid on their respawn, so I favor them slightly here in the control. But we also know that Queens has that capability here in the Search and Destroy. They can win these gunfights. They have more methodical takes. They are a little bit more fundamental in how they play. And they're not afraid to stray from that and make this very difficult for Severity. So without further ado, let's get into it. Map 3 now underway. Seaside Control, 1-1 apiece in the series. And this could really show if it's going to be a 3-1 or a map 5 where we see Queens go into that Search and Destroy. Maybe it's a different story on this next hardpoint, but time will tell. Already an early hit from the side of Queens as they try and get in on this B zone and make this very awkward for Severity as they try and retake and try and work through the middle of the map.
And yeah, it's really nice to see trophies being laid down early on. But this is where Severity, I think, have made a wonderful play to overload on the outer lane on B. It just creates this awkward 2v1 situation every single gunfight for Queens. They have to re-enter through a narrow lane, which could easily be held by an AR from any angle. And when it comes to even taking this point, they might as well sacrifice it and set up here for a strong A. It's been a beautiful conversion from Severity in the most convincing way.
See some shots coming in from Inferno downrange. B already taken. You can see A as well, the defense trying to come in from Queen. Severity doing a nice job of taking control yet again. Shoddy trying to come in from Rob, not quite. Zuko trying to get in as well, but Shuso shutting everything down on this A zone. And it's just so difficult. What can they do? They can't get through. They can't get in. And a very, very dominant control win here from the side of Severity in the map 1.
That was a 1-minute round, Remy. Insane conversion.
Crazy fast.
And the only way we can describe it, again, from what happened is the B2A isn't really the point of call on this one. It's how well they controlled the setups. They stacked 3 players inside of the hill. They won the gunfights for players pushing through lanes. That's why Seaside's so difficult in many instances. The offense was beautiful, but now on the opener for Queens, they commit 2 nades in, try and sink it deep, but no one for Severity's tagged.
Yeah, they've only got one play kind of lurking here, looking to try and make this awkward for the side of Queens. Zuko trying to push up, playing off of that. Not sure if he spotted Cuban around the outside. Cuban able to find one, not quite the second either, from the side of Queens. Not able to get that trade. Inferno still in the middle of the map, now in this power position, but they can stop this attack on the B zone and make this very, very awkward for the side of Queens. They were hoping and they were banking on this B zone. And look how it costed them. Not quite getting much value. Lives are even as they come on in, and we can see the damage that Severity's putting forth.
Yeah, they have the constant overload now towards A. A deep flank from Amari might upset it, but he's actually going to go for exit kills on spawn, try and get a life lead established. But the way in which you see Queens hold the spawns, it's not that impressive so far, I must say. What we have from Queens, in difference to Severity in opening rounds, Severity stacked hills to get time, whereas Queens are relying on one player to get hill. The remaining 4 players are floating around middle to try and see what they can do, try and be proactive, and it's not working so well. This B take is a lot better. They've made a good impression to try and get some time on the board. They've held utility to try and hold the exits, and at least now in this instance, we can see Queens double the pressure and shove them off it.
Turgi with a nice 2-piece. Moby and Cuban as well striking back. Severity not stopping this B zone so far, and we might see a take here, some time added to the board. 3 life down for Queens. Severity trying to come and re-break, but some good gunfights here from Turgi to keep making this awkward. A nice 2-piece shutting down any of the rotators. That's a B zone cap. Now they're looking towards A. Lives evening up as well for the side of Queens.
I'm letting it breathe for a second here, because what else Severity trying to do? They've got 2 players in spawn. They've got an additional 2 more on the point. It feels like Queens are trying to trap in this instance, and they've got the room to do it. But the timings and the cutoffs just aren't in their favor. How Rob's held his life there, I don't know.
Wow, Omari in the back. He plays such a close angle with the equalizers, making this impossible for Queen. Shuts down 4. Unfortunately, Omari actually taking his own life there down with it. As for him, gets this War Machine in. We've seen how effective it can be. Unfortunately, Chuso shuts it down, does get traded immediately. Severity doing a nice job of shutting down this break, but it's back on in for Queens, not letting go of the gas pedal. Cuban now in, able to find 1. Sparrow getting invested as well from Rob. Unfortunately, the Vortex gun shutting him down, and Moby continuing to shut down any of these players from getting on in. No lives remaining for Queens. 5 left. They have 1 more break, 1 more wave that they can work with here to stay in this round. Severity, very dominant so far in this control. We saw it in the hardpoint. We're seeing it here yet again. Zuko going to drop, so it's down to 3 players. It's going to be Chuso towards the middle of the map as well, shutting everything down. 2v6. It's a near impossible task for Queens with 30 seconds on the clock. And it's Severity go up 2-0 in this control and make this very, very difficult for Queens. And it's so dominant again, Connie. Like, I got to say, the lives evened up there from Severity and a massive play from Omari, but they were just looking solid throughout that control, apart from a few blunders.
And those blunders have been rectified in quite the way, haven't they, Remy? I mean, look at Severity.
Yeah.
Beautifully found a way to just execute a nice defensive hold, and they can repeat the same attack strategy again. Smash it towards A, get the time. Queens are actually quite petrified to take this one. They're allowing room now to breathe, and this is actually not a good sign where Severity can just set up with ARs.
I mean, just getting this point so easily, so quickly. Secret doing a nice job of at least checking, shouldering, making sure no one's coming down that lane. Grabs that kill. Turkey going to try and come on in. Does get 1, gets 2 as well. Massive 2-piece from him. So at least stops that A-zone from getting captured. That's a massive piece of the puzzle that Queens needs to stay in this map. But I got to say, Severity, what they've been putting forward, what they've been showing to us, Connie, is just too impressive, too dominant so far on the control. I'm going to have to see a lot more from Queens here if they have a fighting chance. Chuso's still trying to get in. He's been such a dominant AR so far for the side of Severity. We're going to see it here yet again, a massive kill to open things up, getting the trade here as well in on this B zone. A with 2 ticks in on it. Severity just looking so solid on their attack.
And even on the respawners of Queens throwing nades, we're not seeing signs of contempt from Severity. They're being really aggressive in just funneling out of the hill and getting an Odin up straight away. We see it here right now from Chuso. It's just beautiful movement. The wall machine now has been activated. Not enough on the exits there where Queens can force the overload. And it's a wonderful capture. And at least a hold now for Queens. They've got a lot of time to work with here, but hey, we say that in contemporary, right? There's only 2/3 left to go. 2 more little slivers, and Severity got the 3-0.
Yeah, all it takes is 1 break. Moby going to be the tip of the spear there on the A zone. Gets them in. We've got Secret to deal with in the middle of the map, but Rob actually striking back. Unfortunately, Cuban invests the Sparrow. Now you can see that A zone getting capped. No one really close. It might be for him. He gets in. He's able to make some damage. Finds Secret. Not quite the second player, but A starts to regress, but you've got to deal with Chuso. They're splitting the resources, splitting the attack, making sure that they have no time to work with here to get to both sides, to both zones even, and there's nothing that you can do from the side of Queens. Too many players to deal with. They blitz this B zone.
Unreal.
Now they have to work on A. They've got even lives. This could be the control 3-0 convincingly, and they're going to wrap 3 players towards their spawn and make this very difficult. Something we haven't seen yet for the side of control here. They try and go for these kills. They try and go for the spawns. It's something that we see a lot of time in traditional COD. Haven't seen it here. They've just been going for the points, playing the objectives, and now it might pay dividends. So many lives dropping. The equalizers invested from Omari as well, and there's not a lot of players on this A zone to stop this last tick.
This is what Brody's talking about. The unfathomable spawn trap. Queens are down to just 2 players. Severity can cap this time freely, and this is just, you know, a round and a map which Severity have controlled from start to finish.
They've been looking consistent. They've been looking good on these respawns. We've seen it here again, Connie. I don't know if I feel good for Queens going into this hard point. We saw them go 3-1 in scrims. I think I know why. I think their respawn is looking very, very solid. I think they're looking very scary on these respawns. And I think that this is something that Queens were not expecting to go up against. I mean, the dominance is there. 3-0 in control, 250, 100 in the hard point. Take a look at the scoreboard as well. Nothing crazy impressive. Chuso going 20 and 12 again on the respawn, and Omari as well with a very impressive KD, 14 and 6. Really preserving those lives, where everyone on the side of Queens going negative. So it's just an outclassing here from everyone on the side of Severity, making this a near impossible feat for Queens.
And really, the final round can be summed up in so many ways, but to walk you through what happened, I mean, in terms of the breakoffs from Severity, they would send 4 players to a point. They'd get at least 2/3 of the point captured. If they got wiped off it, they go to the other point, because they know the overload is not going to be there because of the numbers committed from Queens to deal with the pressure originally, and they can get 2/3 over there. So on a full reset and they're back in spawn, they go 17-15 life count. We can get these final thirds comfortably, just run the same strategy again. But what you spotted, and I spotted as well, was the ability to split tick. They sent a player to either point just to confuse Queens to a level where they would have to force an overload, and it'd be an immediate checkmate for Severity. They just annihilated the point. The War Machine was there as well, and it's just full control from start to finish.
I mean, something we didn't see, and I touched on it in the map, was the fact that, spawn traps, going for the kills, going for the spawn kills. We didn't see them playing for that, and it's something that we see quite often. At least one player, or maybe two players, right, going for those spawn traps in, in this case, Black Ops 6, but other COD titles as well for traditional COD, where it's a lot of spawn trapping. Here, Severity didn't care. They were like, we don't care about these fights. We don't care about these numbers. We're just going to blitz it. Coming into the hard point now. Ooh, on Poker. It's going to be a tough one. Apocalypse map 4 in this series. Severity up 2-1. They've been looking so good in these respawns. I'm scared for Queens. They get some initial here on P1 with some opening picks, but they're going to have some pretty good hard point to go up against Severity now.
And Apocalypse is a map where the spawns can flip to either portion. When you cross the shed, you see here that Fahim's holding with the AR. When you cross underneath the TV bunker, it really is a sensitive map, to say the least, Remy. And the way in which we see Queens establish control early on is with the submachine guns. This is just fantastic to see. What more can we see out of Turkey in this instance? It's going to be so crucial to see the positions in which he can take, and at the same time, how much can Severity can try and break out of any trap. Because holding it from underground here, what Inferno's doing, was the original Cold War strategy.
Yeah, and I got to say as well, one thing that I didn't factor in, Connie, was the fact that the subs are going to have a lot more playability here than Hassi, right? There's some good sub gameplay you can have on Hassi, but the ARs are impactful. We saw Chuso having so much value from Severity. Now, the coin's kind of flipped, where you have a lot of subs making a big crucial gunfights, and the ARs are kind of the backbone, the back piece. We'll see if that comes to play here. Maybe Queens can rely on the AR presence a little bit more, or those long-range guns and engagements a little bit more, but it's really going to be the subs that are going to be the storytellers here, and we're seeing it for Severity. They're locking in this time already on P2, making this very, very difficult for Queens to find any sort of break, and this is where they get in this trap, Connie. This is what we saw in this map 1.
Lovely work from Amari just to clean up some space, and it's very comfortable now, the smoke grenade in the awkward position for Severity now to clean up, play for scrap time here, and create a beautiful hold. But the utility usage again, only 2 players are holding onto their nades. And the pressure that Queen's can apply here can be devastating. The War Machine, though, for Chuso is going to be the defining factor.
Okay, it says that Chuso's just connected, but I think he's been playing since the start of this series. He has never left the lobby. He has been a nuisance every single time, every single point, every single map in some way or another. The sniper on the search and destroy, the AR on the hard points and respawns. Purify now getting invested from Secret as they go down bottom here towards P3, and it's going to be very tough to really deal with this. He didn't spot that player bottom left, so maybe for him has some sort of entry here. Does get behind him, spawns flip as well, I believe. Maybe in the back line, not quite, but it's just all Severity dictating this map over and over again. What we saw in the first hardpoint, what we saw in Control, and now what we're going to see to close out this series potentially if we don't see some signs of life from Queens. They're running off of spawn. They're staggering, Connie. It is despair for Severity, for Queens, sorry.
Oh, Chuso only gets 1 exit, but the teammates there to support. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense here now, and Queens have got scrap time at least to contest with here. Lovely 3 players stacked up inside, but this is where the awkward routes and Apocalypse's geography just, breaks your brain, Remy. The ways in which you can enter a hill, and the verticality is just way too punishing. That's what Amari utilized there. The underlane. And the set nades as well from Queens on their respawn can only control their rotation to new.
Yeah, it's terrifying being a hill player in this map. I remember it quite vividly, and we see it here again in COD Mobile, even more so because there's even more players you have to deal with. There's so many different lanes. We're seeing it, time and time again in this map so far. Amari now trying to get the entries in with the sub, doing a great job of opening up these picks. Still pressing the attack as well, streaking up now, finding so many impactful frags, making sure that Queens can get nowhere near this point. Now a whole kill lead for Severity. 60 points differential here for Queens as they try and get themselves back in this game. But it is just despair time and time again. So tough for Queens to make these breaks.
Oh, they've really smashed towards hill here. There's 2 zones of entry here for Severity.
Zuko, though.
An Annihilator from Zuko is completely wasted. No teammates to support the cross. Oh, this is now where you just start to see where can you apply the pressure. Inferno's blocked off from the smoke. Has to position now with another teammate to try and float over towards New. And I think that's the one thing that I can say in terms of Severity, what to do so well. The smoke placements have been on point throughout the whole map so far, Remy. Not a single lane has been easy to access from Queens.
Yeah, but I gotta say, like, as much as Queens has been getting shut down, I just don't think they bring much to the table. I don't think they're having a lot of set strategies here. They're kind of staggering themselves over and over, kind of running at the hill. It's very one-dimensional here against Severity, and I don't think it goes well against their game plan. Severity doing such a great job of finding these rotations and breaks. You can't really be traditional here. Got to try and get something out of the playbook. You got to find something deep. We're seeing it here again. Inferno at least up top with the SKS, trying to get some damage in, making this very awkward. P1 online. Queen's able to lock in this time. It's at least something. They're getting a bit of value here. They're getting themselves back in the game. It's some good points. They won't put themselves in the lead, but they'll at least get themselves back in the game.
Oh, the focus from Rob here is fantastic. Just isolating the middle of the map, forcing Severity to play on the extremities. Yeah, okay. Queens, impressive. Scrap time's all yours. Rotation is all Severity's, though. And this is where you start to see Queens now reinforce the altar. And this is not a very easy spawn to break for Severity. And they're still going to leave it white for now. It can be an easy contest and setting up for a full money in the next hill. But look at Severity's push, Remy. It's just nades everywhere.
And Chuso with the War Machine. Again, we've said his name so many times throughout this series. We'll say it again. So much damage coming in now from the War Machine. Predator Missile invested from Rob. Not going to find much value. Severity now starting to extend this lead. But Rob with a nice route through the middle of the map might be able to shut everything down. Sparrow invested but gets shut down immediately by Moby. We can see for him trying to rush back into this point. Not making it easy at all. Severity now behind the 8-ball. Now being the recipients of the running gun brute force tactic through the front of the point, and this is where Apocalypse gets very difficult because there really is only that one route, and I guess funnels them in, and I guess that's what the danger that we were seeing from Queens was early into this map, and we're seeing the tides turn. Queens want to see this map 5, they want to stay in this series, they want this to go to the search, and they're really home playing field.
Moby's wonderful entry. Yep, never mind. Wow. I was going to say he hasn't found Fahim, but he just deals with everyone on a sliver of health. And this is just what Queens are now starting to understand where the win conditions are. Who's having the most impact? Who is the lobby leader? There's no denying when in terms of Severity, what can they do in this instance? This is their favorite hill. They know how to break it. They know how to hold it. Controlling the underlane is the main focal point for success.
Turgi at least gets one back. Zuko has been very, very dangerous on this Annihilator so far. Not quite getting as much value as he'd like with this one. A lot of kills going towards Severity. For him getting some kills back, but it's pinstripe kill feed. Severity still take control of the point. Zuko now getting down with the Annihilator, able to find 2 on the break. Has to switch back, gets on the ego chart with the sub, able to find that kill as well. So it's a 3-piece from Zuko to open up this point and get Severity out.
Oh, this is not good news. Queens have found their way back from a 60-point deficit. Severity have just not found scrap time in the last 4 hills. And this time around, they're still deciding whether to ignore it or rotate to New. We know exactly where the fundamentals lie and what the conditions have to be to win this map. But looking at the shutdown and looking at the swing. Oh, Fahim, stop that now.
I mean, I was about to say, it's all on him. He's able to find 2. The player's just not quite there in time, though. The cavalry wasn't able to come through. They were still worrying about ult, still worrying about scrap. And that's just, I don't know if it's a bit of blindness or miscommunication. They're trying to go back for the break now as for him gets that War Machine online. They do find the kills that they're looking for, fortunately, but it's a dangerous strategy. I mean, they're playing with fire there to try and take down those Severity members. And you can see how many kills are coming back very quickly. Omari now back in with the sub. It's so difficult to deal with these players that quickly, and Severity continued that lead off of the back of what was a freak 2-piece from for him, taking down 2 or 3 of those players. And now Severity get the control and extend this lead once again. Queens can't go down like this as Turgi finds 2.
Oh, the Purifier as well. There's not many maps you can utilize as specialists, but Apocalypse is definitely one that you can. Queens, though, still holding control of the west side spawns, and Severity is still funneling all the way through from Ruins. It's a very head-to-head matchup so far. The rotation to New is crucial, given that Queens couldn't get as much time off this hill as they would have liked. And what's Severity have in mind for the new hill? Well, simply put, stuns over the top, 2 players inside, one controlling TV.
I don't know about investing the equalizers there either. It was just kind of a overheat, kind of essentially there from the side of Turkey. You got 1 kill at most, and it was for scrap time at best. Severity able to find 3 off the break here in the 3rd set of rotations, making this very, very difficult now for Queens. They're 30 points behind. The Sparrow now in for Rob, and this is where we see the value of the specialist. This is where it should have been saved from the side of Turkey. And now we see Rob pushing up, trying to get some value in, maybe a little bit too far as well. But P1 still online, still going towards Queens. But unfortunately, the kills come in for Severity, and they get the break on in.
Yep, and only a 20-point margin. It still could be won by Queens from this instance, but so far 12 stuns have been floated over towards the middle of the map. Nobody has any idea where anyone is. A short exit as well from Secret is trying to cut off all the Queens players while they're rotating into the back of Ruins, and it's just a flip attempt that doesn't work. The line's too deep for Severity, and they've got scrap time off this hill. They're going to try and close it out here now on the infamous P2.
So much yellow in the kill feed. No one getting back in the game from Queens. They could end it here. P2, a very notoriously difficult hill to try and break on in. Turkey's going to get in on the start for him with another Inferno now. The whole team coming alive to try and save themselves in this series. Everyone kicking, everyone trying to get on in. But the ARs from downrange, the ARs on these head glitches, making this near impossible. Turkey, the last one standing. He'll be dropped by Moby. Moby finds 3 and shuts everything down for Queens. That could be the last hope. The dreams for the side of Queens getting dropped, and now we can see everyone getting shut down for him finding 2 back, but I think that'll be all she wrote for the series. No one close, no one off of the break, and Severity with a dominant respawn yet again. What was such an intense series gets shut down just like that.
Way too close to call, it felt like at times, Remy. What was a 60-point margin down to just a 5. Severity were definitely on the ropes a few times, and Queens did show a great fight throughout the whole of that apocalypse. But in the end, they just stuck to the plan. They retained so much on every single hill. And because of the overall score, 4-4 apiece, it's going to be a tiebreaker. That's the only way that you can settle who's going to go through to the grand final. Both teams won 3-1 on their home soil. There is no away goals in COD Mobile. We're going to go straight to what is going to be an extra 90.
Well, I guess in that case, the series is complete, but there'll be another map to be played. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough one. I've heard that it's a raid control for final map, and man, that's a tough one. That's a toughie to try and decide, right? Like, we've seen the dominance that Severity has on control. Coming to a raid, it's a bit different than Seaside, right? It's a little bit more balanced. We saw it in Cold War. We've seen it in COD Mobile so far as well. So there's a bit of a development here on this map, one of the oldest maps in COD history played competitively. Maybe we'll see Queens looking a little bit more comfortable in this control setting. I don't know. Severity had been looking super strong on the respawn, so now seeing the tiebreaker come through on control could be a very, very difficult situation to deal with.
Oh, there's no denying just how important that was going to be, at least in terms of the form of Severity from the last visit they had against Queens. But we are going to go into what is a respawn, a control of which raid is very much a lot more of an equal footing than Seaside. But I think in terms of the respawns that we've highlighted so far, Severity are just really, really good, aren't they? I mean, they are the informed team for the week, not really slowing down for any other opposition, and they want to meet exclusive in the grand final. It's just now down to potentially 5 rounds of raid control and just seeing who is going to come out the other side.
I mean, that is the case, right? It would be silly to doubt Severity at this point with their respawns. I just want to give a little bit more credit to Queens. We saw much more of a fighting chance here in Apocalypse. I guess it's somewhat because there's just not a lot of playability in Apocalypse so much, right? You have the rotations in. You don't really have any crazy strategies that you can employ. There's a lot of, I mean, as I mentioned, one-dimensional gameplay that Severity was winning, where Raid has a little bit more dimensions to it, right? You can play it a little bit differently. The rotations are long. You have to be in on those rotations. The hills can be money hills, but you have to have the right setups, right? So it is one of those cases where you have an extra play to deal with on Raid with a 5v5 setting. and you can lock down a lot of these lanes. You just have to be consistent, and you just have to make sure you're playing it correctly. If you don't, you will suffer on this map, and that's just one of the designs of it that I think is so attractive to a competitive community, because you want to have the game controlled. You want to be able to control that if you're good, and if you're not, you want it to be out of control. So Queens, I think, has the potential here. They just need to have some sort of saving grace, or at least make this interesting for a tiebreaker, essentially a map 6, which is weird to say, but or a map 5, I guess, in the series, but it's just one of those things where you've really got to be on the ball.
And I don't think there's any more sort of notion that could be contrived in terms of who has got the most control in the respawn Severity every single time. They're even comfortable out of it. Queens, though, in terms of the fighting for control moments in the map, especially when the contested hills are there, they're not letting up any steam. They're exhausting quite a lot of gas in the overall team's tank, though. I think in terms of what the morale might be and the spirits might be for this one, they're going to have to try and summon some spirits or an extra bit of energy to get themselves through this one. They are going to enjoy the fact that it is not a Seaside, it is a raid, so we do have the fairer portion of there is no real better side of the break-off, just how well the nades are placed over 12 years of gameplay on this map, and have you really, you know, practiced your match darts, and can you get it on the black van for an attacking team, and can you get it into kitchen if you're on the defending team? There really is no other way to describe what is going to be one of the greatest toss and turns in COD Mobile tonight.
I mean, as you said, need that little bit of extra energy. Maybe whip out the Ouija board, contact Six Fly, get his spirit into this game, because again, the stand-in here from Inferno might make this a bit difficult for Queens in how they want to play, and that's why we might see those inconsistencies here. But we'll see. It seems like they're warming up. It seems like they're getting good on these respawns a little bit more comfortably. Now we see for a map 5 here, the tiebreaker between Severity and Queens. The scope coming out from Chuso to try and lock down middle of the map. But for him, actually the first to strike with a nice 2-piece.
And it's a great opener as well. And what Queens have positioned is a large take towards B. Hang on a second. Severity strat again is the alternate. They've gone straight towards A, and they're going to try and control kitchen, and they're going to try and control balcony. And basketball court, again, is the only entry right now for Queens to break. Fahim's commitment, again, is just way too aggressive towards any sort of spawn trap that might have taken place, or even a reclear. They've got way too much pressure, Severity, and it's a great opener.
Got a clear AC. Make sure you take care of this player. Turgi now making this very awkward. And look at these spawns coming in as well immediately off of the side here of Severity. They're trying to get out of this trap, but Inferno and Turgi doing a great job of cutting down these players as best they can. Fortunately, they do get back on in. They've lost a lot of lives in the process, so if you can stall out this time, stall out these players, you'll be cutting down a lot of their numbers, even though they got 2 ticks on A already.
And now it's slowed down quite nicely thanks to the smoke grenade, and Severity have got to try and find an avenue of attack. Queens have got all of the exits covered. Not a fantastic look, but again, hats off to Queens and just understanding where they need to place the guns.
Wow, some good shots from Turgi here, making so much value on this A zone, cutting down all of these players. The sub looking like an AR here on this raid zone, and so much damage. Wow, Turgi continuing to fry out, making sure that they cannot get out of the spawn. And this is a different side of Queens. We talked about the one-dimensionality of it, and now we're seeing it here in play. Severity unable to get out of it, unable to get value. No respawns remaining, 3 versus 19. It's all but done for this round, and it's a very, very convincing performance here from Queens. I was not expecting at all, Connie.
Absolutely. I mean, Turgi did his best Lucas Zinn impression. There's no denying just how skillful he is and how great he is at adjusting and on high pivot situations from a 2-piece. That's what's really confusing the life out of Severity right now. They're going to be defending this time around. Queens commit all the way over towards the north side of the map. 3 set days go over to try and blow up the van. Oof. And Chuso is dealing with everything in the middle of the map and wall banging through the pillars.
Wow. That was a cracker of a start from the side of Chuso. Unfortunately, Rob strikes right back on in with a 3-piece for Queens, now making this very awkward for them. Back on in on the B zone. Queens getting some value. You see the route from Secret. He's trying to pre-fire. At least makes this difficult, but Rob with the Sparrow able to shut it down. And he had so many kills. Chuso with his scope, making it look absolutely unreal. FaZe needs to take a look at this guy, because back in Black Ops 2, he would have been signed already. 3 kills go to the side of Queens. They're absolutely stomping this B zone, Connie. They're able to try and switch their attention towards A now, and this is a very, very strong performance from Queen so far.
And this is not, something to be looked over in terms of converting A. I mean, listen, 20 to 15, 2 minutes on the clock. They have to try and control Kitchen as fast as possible, and their avenues for laundry against an L1 is going to be so difficult to maintain. Usually back in the day, we'd see players with ARs using the tree head glitch, and there's no denying here that Chuso's adopting similar strategy. The smoke grenade, though, will easily allow them to cross into the back garden, but again, controlling basketball is a nice adjustment for any players flanking through the middle of the map.
And the value of having such a highly mobile sniper is grabbing these power positions off. And look at the quick scopes coming out from Chuso. Very effective. And we can see as well, the Queens are back on in with the War Machine now. For him, has been so dominant on it. Unfortunately, does get shut down pretty early into the life there from that War Machine. Severity holding on as best they can as these players trying to envelop Pool. But you've got a lot of players coming towards tennis court, making this, or basketball court, sorry, and making this very difficult for the players to get on in, but all it takes is that one break, and that's what we're seeing here for him. Gets on in, now trying to lock down, bank, and make this very awkward.
A nice adjustment from Fahim just to allow room for the sub-players inside of Tiki to get into position. And just 2 players left from Severity means, well, Queens have just had a phenomenal attacking round to cap off their defensive masterclass. They are walking through the map comfortably. It's been an absolutely lights-out performance so far from Turgi. This is really now Severity's wake-up call to try and get something going because they are on the brink of elimination.
Yeah, Mari doing his best to stay alive. Wow, the turn and burn. I don't know how Mari stayed alive there, but Queens so far just looking like a different animal in the tiebreak. Something awoke, something, came out from this team that we were not expecting on a respawn, where they've just looked phenomenal so far in these 2 rounds. You would have expected the teams to be switched up and to be Severity, but it's not. It's Queens coming in on a respawn looking like it's their favored game mode so far in this series, which has not been the case traditionally, and already an absolute blitz on this B zone will stop any attack coming out from Severity. We saw that the spawn trap was in so easily last time, and they've done a great job of stopping that, at least early into this round so far. They can't drop too many lives. It's just been too dominant from Queens so far on these kills, on these gunfights. It's made this super, super, super difficult for Severity so far.
And they're just, so elusive to any sort of gunfight that they don't want to have. I mean, Inferno, the stand-in, just having an absolute ball of a time here. Not really meant to be, anything, in comparison to Six Fly, but has filled his shoes gracefully so far in this control. And, Queens, again, in an already tough spot, are finding so many signs of life. The Sparrow's online for Rob. He smashed them off of the point. Only a third accrued. And the life count's already at half now for Severity.
Yeah, Rob trying to make as much value as possible, but Zuko is actually the one to do it. 3-piece in the back, massive from him. Chuso trying to hang on in, and he's the last player left off of that wave. And 12 to 20 with only 1 tick. This could be Severity on the tiebreaker, getting taken down super convincingly. Almost disrespectfully so, Connie. You do all this. You do everything to make it a tiebreaker. You think maybe we have a chance. Maybe we can steal this off of Queens. It's not going to happen. Everyone shutting everything down. Inferno coming in with that gun, making it super difficult for him in the back with the War Machine. Everyone shutting down. 3 players left, saying sayonara to Raid and the series, making this a very, very unfortunate anticlimactic ending to what was such a great series.
Absolutely, and Queens, welcome to the grand final. Your biggest test awaits, and that's going to be exclusive. Already, we have the pundits and the bets coming in for who's going to win that matchup when we eventually see it tomorrow, brought to you by Infinity and Seymour. But I think a tiebreaker to end of the semi-finals, I wouldn't have it any other way, Remy. What a fantastic end. And Queens coming into the away leg with not their star player in the lineup, running Inferno, they still got it done just about. And if it wasn't for the S&D, we would be seeing, in this instance, we would be seeing Severity go through. So yeah, it's sort of like the nip and tuck, but also kind of like the perspective you have to gauge now and how they're feeling right now, knowing that they had everything going for them, formed from the week through scrims, and it really is quite a special occasion.
Yeah, and I believe that they're going to be playing next Saturday for the matchup. So get excited for that. Was a great series, was a great effort from Severity, unfortunately falling short there in one map, and that's sometimes all it takes, is that one map to be the decider. You lose out on that, and it's an unfortunate series of events. A 3-0 for Queens, though. Was not expecting that, Connie, I'll tell you what. But it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. That's it from me and Connie. We'll see you guys on the next one. The grand finals coming up next Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you join in and see Exclusive versus Queens then. For now, though, it's going to be us. We're going to send you guys off, and we'll see you on the next one.